First, hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs facing hundreds of accusations, including running a criminal enterprise to satisfy his sexual desires, sex trafficking, sexually abusing minors. Many of these allegations are dating back decades, and now Diddy finds himself in the middle of another investigation, this one involving the 1996 murder of Tupac Shakur. Tonight, we peel back the layers of this latest investigation and take a look at Diddy's growing legal issues. Does he have any chance of ever being a free man again? I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. We've got a big hour in store for you. The next big trial on Court TV just around the corner. We'll talk about that. But here we are, folks. It's another day, and yes, another investigation of Diddy. I'm doing this story every night because every day, every night, it's something new with Diddy. It's unreal. Like a story like this. This is way beyond anything we imagined. You know, it started with little rumblings, and now this is a snowball going down a hill, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the question is, will Diddy be able to get out of the way of this snowball? I don't know. So this new investigation comes as a result of a conversation Court TV had with the family of Tupac Shakur's, the lawyer for the family of Tupac Shakur. And the question tonight is Diddy involved in that murder? So what's happening with the family and the attorney? It was confirmed that they have hired an investigator to look into any potential link between Sean Combs and the murder of Tupac Shakur back in 1996. They're in on it now. I mean, this isn't like, oh yeah, we'll just take a, no, they're gonna take a look at it. They have a good faith belief that there may be a there, and they are going to pursue it. Now, there is an accused killer already, Keefe D, getting ready for his trial. He's been arrested. He has spoken for years about this. But now he's the one that's kind of on the hook for the murder. It took a long time to get here, right? What is it? It's 2024. We go back this many years. But it took that many years, I guess, for investigators to put the pieces together enough that they could try someone for this incredibly high-profile case. So we'll talk about Keefe D tonight. But the other question I have is about Diddy, which is, you know, what's next? What is next for this guy? There is nothing at this point that would surprise me because of the range of allegations here. Between the sex abuse of women, the sex abuse of men, the sex abuse of adults, the sex abuse of children, civil lawsuit after civil lawsuit, hundreds of them being ready to file. Criminal charges, RICO, criminal enterprise, all of this. I mean, what is next? It really becomes a question, and I'll probably find out Monday, and we'll probably be talking about it here on the show. So let's get to this latest investigation, and an image I think that many people are familiar with. This is the last known image of Tupac in the passenger seat of a car in Las Vegas after a boxing match. He wasn't in the boxing match. He went to the match. This is the last image of him alive. We know the legend of Tupac that still continues today, but this is it. This was moments before it all happened. Now, the man has been arrested, Dwayne Keefe D. We've got his video from his arrest in 2023, September 29th. Take a look.
Hey, Keith, Metro Police, come over here. Hey, Metro Police, come over here, all right? Thanks, buddy. Come on over here. Appreciate your cooperation, okay? I'm gonna stand right here in front of the car. Yep, yep, we're gonna put it down. Put that down for a second, all right? You got nothing on your hooks?
So there, he's being arrested in Vegas by Metro Police in Vegas.
You have anything on you, sir? No. Thirsty? Okay, yeah.
Didn't leave town. This is a Nevada case.
I'll separate the two, sir. Thank you.
Now, if you would have taken this moment and put it back a couple of decades, it would have been a huge moment. Everyone would have been talking about, oh, they've arrested someone for the murder of Tupac Shakur? Well, yeah, they did, but it's, 2023. 27 years later. Not an easy case to try, by the way. It's not going to be an easy case. Now, prior to this arrest, Dwayne Keefe Davis joined Vlad TV to discuss the shooting of Tupac. Take a listen.
He's hanging out the window like he was in a parade.
Tupac.
Yeah, he was.
So what happens next?
And we just came, and I ain't gonna go into details like that.
As you're driving up towards the BMW, with Suge driving and Tupac in the passenger seat, and you said that Tupac pulled out a gun.
It looked like he was reaching, yeah. Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you actually see a gun?
No, once he got to reaching, I got to ducking.
So he puts himself there, and he's been talking about it for years, but I just ducked. I didn't do anything. Somebody else did it. Well, he's in the white Cadillac, and you've got several people that are in it, three of whom are no longer with us. You've got Terrence Brown, DeAndre Smith. You've got Dwayne Keefe D. You see him. He's still alive. And Orlando Anderson. So, like I said, it's not an easy case because you've got other people in the car. Easy to point the finger at people who are no longer alive. Those are tough cases to try as a prosecutor. But in his defense, they've also raised the name of Diddy in all of this. Now, you take a look at the car. Remember that image that we saw? This is the same car that Tupac was in. And you can see all the bullet holes on the side of the car. And obviously, that is from the attack that took the life of Tupac. Now, people are still talking about it. Suge Knight, you know he's in prison, right? Well, that doesn't stop him from, I think he's got a podcast going on, and he recently joined News Nation from prison, gave his thoughts on these allegations against Diddy.
This has been going on in the industry for a whole bunch of years, for decades. And at the same time, nobody wants this to be true, and it shouldn't have to be true. But if we don't fix it and do something about it, history will constantly
repeat itself. And he's talking there about everything that's happening to Diddy right now, that everyone was kind of talking about this. And they have been, but this is, like I said, a snowball going down a mountain, and it's getting faster and bigger and faster. Let's talk about it. Joining us tonight, editor-in-chief of Hip Hop Inquirer magazine, Dennis Byron, is back with us. Dennis, great to see you tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Vinny.
Okay, I want to get your reaction first to what we've learned from the attorney for Tupac's family, that they've hired an investigator to look at any potential connection between Diddy and the murder of Tupac.
The first thing we have to ask is motivation. What would be Diddy, Puffy's motivation to order a hit out on Tupac? Then I had to take it back to 1994 when Tupac was shot at Quad Studios in Manhattan. During that time, I was covering the trial of Tupac when he was on trial with his road manager. So this happened back in November 1994, and was in the studio at the time. They were calling out the 122 Tupac as Tupac was going into the building. And remind you, Quad Studios is in Times Square, 7th Avenue. So a shooting to happen at that time of the evening in Times Square with artists of Puffy's in the building. People would say, why would Puffy want something like this to happen? Well, you have to also remember, Biggie at the time was a very big artist as well, and they were competing against each other. So people always speculate that maybe Puff shooting, but they could never prove the case. So now we fast forward, we hear Keefe D talking about he might have been a part of this plot to have Tupac killed. So I you know, it's something that we've been talking about in the culture, but no one actually was going to say, hey, Puff, you know, this is Puff actually has something to do with this.
So do you think that Sean Combs kind of liked people talking about that to kind of like toughen up his image a little bit, that, oh yeah, maybe he could do something like that. So, you know, you might fear him a little bit more. Could there be anything to that where he might want those rumors out there, or is that something he would be running away from?
You got to think who the artist is. It's Tupac Shakur, someone that was very loved in the culture. Puffy probably wanted that to be very distant from him. But at the time, the fingers were pointed at him. You know, you're Smalls and Tupac had issues. And you can speculate that if you eliminate your competition, then your artist now can elevate. So I don't know. It's something that people have been speculating for years.
So the genesis of all this bad blood was just professional competition. It was like, we're going to we'll sell more records if you're gone. Was that really what it was about, or was it about something else?
Now, if we do a deeper dive, in
Sure.
March of 1997, Notorious B.I.G. was also murdered. Puffy, after the murder, and this is what is being speculated in the culture, Puffy's career elevated after Biggie was murdered. They never found the killer of Biggie either. So again, this is all speculation. You know, Puffy's never charged with any crimes, but the only person that came close to pointing the finger at Puffy, he's sitting in jail facing a murder case. And that's Keefe D.
Someone who at this point has very little to lose. So tell me about Keefe D. And I mean, for years were people talking about Keefe D potentially being involved with this? Were there rumors, or did this come out of left field?
The first time I got wind of Keefe D have any involvement was on Vlad TV. Then I start asking the question, why would Puffy have someone from the West Coast do something to Tupac when he could have someone on the East Coast? So I don't know. This is, it's a big mystery. I don't know if the government can make a case out of this just by the words of someone who may be trying to get some time shaved off if he gets found guilty, or do some type of plea deal. We don't know what Keefe D's motivation is, but he did look pretty comfortable sitting in Vlad's chair talking about potential involvement in Tupac's murder.
Oh, absolutely. Looks super comfortable, kind of sitting back and relaxing. So what we've seen in the cases involving the sexual assaults and all those other allegations, a lot of that came from civil cases. So now you've got Tupac's family has hired an attorney, Alex Spiro. He's a really good attorney. We saw him in the Alec Baldwin case, get that case just tossed. He's good. He's hired a team of investigators to look at this, which could turn into a civil lawsuit, a potential maybe wrongful death lawsuit if they come up with anything, if they find the evidence. So from where you sit, do you think it's possible that a team of investigators at this point with Diddy locked up could get people to talk? Because hasn't that always been the problem, that no one has really ever spoken about this? If people knew something, they didn't say anything. Do you think we're at a point now where Diddy's locked up right now, that maybe people will be more forthcoming when it comes to the Tupac case, like they've been with the allegations of the freak-offs and the sexual assault allegations?
I don't think that any investigators at this point will do too much to solve this case, because you had law enforcement from Vegas, you had Los Angeles, LAPD, you might have had federal agents looking into this, the mysterious killing of Tupac Shakur. So unless Keefe D has someone to corroborate his story, or Puffy confesses, I don't think they're going to get too far with hiring an investigator. I don't think so.
Now, where is this case at this point? Like, if like I said earlier, if this was a couple of decades ago, there would be no story bigger, like Keefe D going into court to be tried for this murder. Where is it right now? Are the gauging the anticipation, the amount of interest around Keefe D and his trial?
Well, the fact that Keefe D is now linked to Tupac's murder, it does raise the stakes for Puffy. Now, him just saying this, someone who's facing a potential life sentence, I don't know if that's enough for Puffy to actually be the finger for this case and actually being convicted for this case. But it does close, if this is true, it does close a book. And a lot of people love Tupac. And if Puffy had anything to do with Tupac's murder, hip-hop is not going to be nice to him. The culture is not going to be nice to him. And he might have a problem in jail, because Tupac was loved in the East Coast as well as the West Coast.
I think that might be the biggest problem, right? If he ends up getting convicted and he ends up in prison for the rest of his life, and everyone believes that he's responsible for taking out Tupac, that could be a huge problem on the inside. Where's the public interest in Keefe D right now, in his case, the charges against him?
Oh, it's people are watching the how this case plays out. What is he going to say on the stand? What evidence do the prosecutors have to connect him to Tupac's murder, as well as what connections do he has to Puffy? Is there phone records? He says he's been to some parties of Puffy's. So I've been to some parties. So I don't know. He needs more than just I've been to some Puffy parties. But this is going to be a highly watched case.
Yeah. So
D's case is pretty high profile as well.
Yeah. So from your perspective, how much worse can things get for Diddy? How much more are you expecting to come out? Because every day I come to work, it's something else here, Dennis.
Well, just think about this, Vinny. He had the shooting at Quad Studio. There was a mystery behind that. You have the gun case in New York that he beat. You have the City College incident where several people died because he was the event promoter from that. So a lot of death surrounds Puffy, and you can't be this unlucky. It's a lot of death that surrounds Puffy. And when you see all the people, you got Andre Harrell. I don't want to go through the list. There's just a lot of people who have died that are connected to Puffy, and they're very high-profile people.
Dennis Byron, Editor-in-Chief, Hip Hop Inquirer. Great to have you on the program. Appreciate your insight and your candor. We'll speak again, I'm sure, because I come to work Monday. There'll probably be another story about Diddy, and we'll be talking about it. Thanks so much. When we come back, we'll bring in our think tank, get their legal analysis of this snowball rolling down the hill. Is it going to roll over Diddy? Is he done? Plus, coming up next hour.
Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, the au pair love triangle murder case. Brendan Banfield and au pair Juliana Magalhaes are accused in a twisted BDSM murder plot in the D.C. suburbs. Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan
In every story, in every trial, every case, there's at least two sides to it.
to dive into the latest
Oh my God.
and breaking true crime stories.
This was a very targeted, very personal attack.
Inside
I've never seen that in Discovery. I've been incarcerated 3 years.
and outside of the courtroom.
She's a psychopath.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates. Tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
that time, they began to kick and punch him near that elevator bank. Little did anyone know that it is this incident right here that would ultimately lead to the retaliatory shooting and death of Tupac Shakur.
That was it. There was a brawl in the lobby out in Vegas. And then outside, moments later, Tupac Shakur is dead. Keefe D being tried. But now the big news is that the family of Tupac Shakur, their attorney, has a team of investigators that is going to explore and try to uncover if there's any link between Diddy and the shooting death of Tupac. And by the way, the criminal charges against Diddy right now are all connected to prior civil litigation. So the civil cases are coming first. Sometimes the civil cases are second. Here they're first, kind of stirring things up, and then the next thing you know, prosecutors are jumping in. Speaking of jumping in, let's jump into the think tank tonight. Joining me, former senior homicide prosecutor, founder of Villalona Law, Bernarda Villalona. Also with us, the chief public defender for Oakland County, Michigan. She represented the Oxford High School shooter Paulette Lofton. And finally, the attorney who represented Johnny Depp in his defamation case. I remember that in Fairfax County. Fellow of the American College Trial Lawyers, Ben Chu, is with us. Great to see everyone tonight. Okay, Bernarda, what is happening right now? What is happening with this latest investigation into Diddy? Is this piling on, or is this just the moment where everything is coming to the top?
Vinny, I just think that everyone's coming out of the woodworks with allegations as well as spreading rumors as to what possibly Diddy was involved in or trying to catch a big payday, given that he's in custody and that they know that Cassie's lawsuit actually settled. So the question is whether any of this leads up to any credible evidence that can be proved beyond a reasonable doubt in a criminal case. I think it's highly unlikely at this point that there will be an arrest of Diddy to have been involved in the death of Tupac Shakur, especially if you have law enforcement in previous press conferences that have said, and actually we just saw a few minutes ago, that it was a retaliation killing as a result of the fight that took place inside of that Las Vegas casino.
Paulette, what are your thoughts here about Diddy? Because every day it's a new investigation, it's a new accusation, some civil in nature, but you know, he's in the tank right now, awaiting criminal charges. I mean, it's going from bad to worse. Is there any chance that he could get out from under this and walk among free people again?
So definitely, I think, you know, the opinion of him in the public has been decimated. So I think people are now, like Villarado said, coming out of the woodwork, because this is the time to strike, because he is down, he's in custody, and this is the time that they may get enough traction to actually win some money or make their opinion known. I agree. I think it's going to be a real stretch to be able to put Diddy and charge him and have enough evidence after all these years and all of these investigations for the death of Tupac. I think that's a stretch. But again, his opinion right now in the public has been decimated. So why not strike while the iron's hot?
Well, his reputation has been damaged. Magical words, Ben Chu. Let me ask you, Ben. Diddy has denied everything, right? Has denied everything except the Cassie video, which we saw. He sort of, you know, okay. If people, whether it's through these civil suits and these sexual assaults, or people on social media, or people making statements, are saying things about him that are false at this point, could Diddy turn around and sue people for defamation?
Vinny, theoretically, he could, but that's really the least of his concerns. One of the problems he would face in any civil defamation case is damages. In other words, as Bernarda and Paulette mentioned, his reputation has been so badly damaged now. I think the defense in that case would include you can't really damage his reputation at this point. But going back to the Tupac situation, it seems that the real danger to him is less legal than what might happen to him in custody if people in prison believe that there's any validity to these claims. I think it puts his life in danger as opposed to being in further legal jeopardy.
Bernarda, you're in New York. How safe is he? Is he safer than Epstein?
He's in a different housing facility, so he's not in an MCC where Jeffrey Epstein was held. He's actually in a Metropolitan Detention Center here in Brooklyn, and he's separated from other inmates. The one thing that the federal custody people have learned is from Jeffrey Epstein, and that all eyes are on them, and they have a duty to keep him safe. So they are keeping him separated from everyone else, and also all eyes are on him while he's in custody to make sure that he is safe.
Let me ask you, Paulette, is there any bargaining chip that Diddy has in any of this? And you know, because there's a couple different ways out. There's one way out, like raise a reasonable doubt, go to trial, etc. There's other ways you can get out of trouble, especially with the feds, because the feds, they like to deal a lot. They don't like to try cases. They like to wheel and deal. We know the way they operate. Does he have any leverage, any bargaining chip available, anything that the feds would be interested in? What would it take based upon the allegations that he's facing?
This is interesting because obviously we know that the people that are attending his parties or were attending his parties are also in the public eye. Many of them are famous, very, very well known. So could he use his list of people who were at these parties doing things that they probably shouldn't have as a bargaining chip? Could he flip on someone? Could he give them information, especially information on someone that they have really been trying to pin down on a number of charges? I definitely think that's a possibility. Also, he has a lot of money at his disposal. So, you know, are there fines he could pay? Or could he take everything to trial, which would obviously be a very, very large expense on the feds. Those trials would be long and painful. So I think he does have a number of bargaining chips in his pocket for sure.
Speaking of money, Ben Chew, I always put those two words together, money, Ben Chew, right? Diddy and his millions, his hundreds of millions, perhaps billion, I don't know how much he has or how much he has left. At this point of everything, I mean, there's the potential for all these civil judgments. There's a potential for civil forfeiture in the criminal case. Is he still allowed to move his money around? What happens to all this money? Like if you have it, if you want to take care of your family, or you want to have it put away so you can continue to defend yourself and pay lawyers and investigators?
Vinny, I think he does have access to his money at this point, but from this point forward, of course, there's going to be real scrutiny as to what he is doing with his money, and there's going to be a challenge as to fraudulent conveyances. So, but pre-judgment,
explain that. Explain fraudulent conveyances.
Well, fraudulent conveyances, unless and until there are judgments against him, it is still his money, and there's even limited discovery as to his assets and his bank accounts. Once there is a judgment against him, then the judgment creditor, the person who's gotten the judgment, can obtain discovery against him and find out more about where his assets are and how they are moved. But at this point, Vinny, I think you're right. I think he still has some leeway with his money, and that is something that will go to his advantage.
Yeah, we might rename Ben Chew Money. We just call him Money, right? All right. Bernarda Villalona, Paulette Lofton, Ben Chew staying with us.